I think really excellence comes in the shape of being innovative, being creative, and really being proactive as a person. Using the skills and the resources that you have to achieve your goals.
Welcome to Of Galway for the World, the podcast that brings you inspiring stories and ideas from Galway's vibrant global community.
Brought to you by Global Galway, the University of Galway dedicated office to connecting students, staff and partners around the world, fostering international collaboration, opportunities and support.
Join us as we explore how Galway is making an impact far beyond its borders, right here from Galway for the world. Welcome everyone, I'm Corey. Today we're diving into one of the University of Galway's core values, excellence. And we're going to talk about what that means and how we see it every day here at the university. Joining me today are two excellent guests who each embody that value. So first we have Grainne Carey. She's the Global Employability Manager here at the university. And Rahul Dewan, alumnus, current MBA student. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, I just introduced you by name, by title, but tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, so I'm the Global Employability Manager here at the Career Development Centre at the university. And I suppose my role here at the university is to support our international students with the transition to employment. And, any student maybe that might want to look globally to start their careers. Previous to joining the university, I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for about 13 years, which was really interesting and fascinating. So I have a lot of industry experience behind me. I'm really passionate about supporting students, and I really get great job satisfaction when I see the students able to, achieve their dreams.
Yeah, I get that. That's got to be satisfying. Rahul, how about you?
Yeah, for me, I currently work in Wayfair. I work in the supply chain integration role. What this role really entails is like making sure that our suppliers globally are integrated into Wayfair systems. The type of work I focus on is the inventory, right? E-commerce inventory is the heart of it. If you don't have inventory, e-commerce doesn't really work. Before this role, I've really been like a generalist specialist, so to speak of, right? Like I worked like in financial analysis, I worked in business advisory, worked with revenue operations. So I've tried to like broaden my skill set and knowledge as much as possible. And I think that's what led me to the MBA, and that's what helped me get my current role as well. So I would say that's about it.
Yeah, that's very lovely. I think that's set the scene for this listener to know like what diversity aspect you would bring to this podcast. So today's episode we are talking about excellence. So I'm just wondering, what does excellence mean to you personally?
I suppose for me, excellence really means striving to achieve your best. Looking at how you can approach things and not just meeting expectations, but exceeding them. I think really excellence comes in the shape of being innovative, being creative, and really being proactive as a person. Using the skills and the resources that you have to achieve your goals.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I love the focus on innovation there too. I think that's a good separator, really.
Yeah, I think when it comes to, problem solving, particularly in the workplace, we all need to be innovative and we all need to be creative. And I think that really sets people apart in the workplace to come as a solution-focused person.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is there any kind of past experience that, weave that kind of definition of respect, of excellence into your work?
I suppose I feel in my current role, the excellence, it comes around my passion for students. So be getting up every day and, being passionate about what I do means that I always wanted to deliver excellence day to day. And that comes in the shape of the program of employability that we've put together for students here at the university. So we spent a lot of time planning on what students might need as they come here as an international student and what will help them make a transition to employment here. So we sat down and we looked at what are the differences, the challenges, and how can we support students to overcome them. So we've put together a really excellent program of employability that students can participate in as they transition to the workplace here in Ireland.
Well, I suppose someone who's probably had some experience with that employability is Rahul. So have you utilized that?
Yeah, I did utilize it quite a bit actually when I came here. When I first started out, I got my CVs checked. We did the CV clinic, which was super helpful, right? It's little things, right? I used to put my education at the top, but then I was given this thing that no, you put the education at the bottom and you put your work experience on the top. It's those little tips and tricks. And I think one of the biggest positives for me, or the biggest takeaways for me, is how do you really assimilate the fact that you are here for a while and showcase the local culture in the interviews, right? So I would intentionally go and use Irish phrases, right? Like crack is 90, for example, right? Nobody expected me to use that phrase, but I did use it. And then it was this instant rapport, right? This guy's here, he knows what he's doing. And now let's start the interview on the basis of that.
A little bit of a game changer.
Yeah. It's a very nice move, and it really shows that you are localizing in this culture.
Yeah. Absolutely. Differentiator. Excellent.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that employers always talk about when they're looking to hire a candidate, is how will that candidate fit into our existing culture. And it's so important, and that can be the differentiator in an interview. And that's some of the things that we go through in our interview skills workshops here at the university. How can you build that instant rapport with the interviewer on the other side of the desk?
Yeah, I mean, that employability office, that's a unique thing for the University of Galway, right?
So the global employability team, I believe, is the first of its kind across all the HEAs here in Ireland. So it's the first dedicated ring-fenced resource specifically for international students and for students to go globally. It's unique in that sense. I suppose our careers team was very forward thinking when we knew the university wanted to internationalise. We were able to see that, it's a very difficult thing to come to a different country, set up your life here and then, understand and get a job, and how do I navigate all of that? So that's where the idea for the Global Employability team came from. And we knew that resources were going to be needed. So we have myself as the Global Employability Manager, and we have 3 Global Employability Advisors there to support students. We've lots of digital resources, so we have a digital toolkit, an AI CV tool builder, we have our big interview which does mock interviews, but we haven't forgotten about the human connection, and that's what's really important. So students are able to book one-to-one appointments with any of the Global Employability Advisors to be able to meet them and ask those burning questions about the Irish jobs market, and also to give them the support on a one-to-one level that's often needed.
Yeah, that's excellent. I did join one of the one-on-one section with one of your staff when I was applying for an internship, and then he gave me really useful advices. That's talking about your team. What is great work of the team? So how about our student? What do you think makes our global student unique when it comes to transitioning into the workforce?
Well, I think firstly, any international student that comes to study here in Ireland has jumped through numerous hoops to get here in the first place. And we've already spoken about, the difficulty of coming to a different country, understanding the culture, setting up your whole life here. So I think firstly, they gain a huge amount of resilience from doing all of that, and then learning how to understand a different academic way of working. So that, shows adaptability as well. So while they're here studying, they're developing really important skills that can be transferred to the workplace. But in terms of what makes University of Galway students, I suppose, unique, is that they have often come through our structured programme of employability. So last year alone, we had 250 international students that completed our Employability Award, and that signals to employers that they are job ready. So they've got a really good understanding, firstly, of, the jobs market, but also the skills that are required for the market. They know how to navigate the recruitment process, where to look for jobs, and also I feel like they're very work ready when they go into the workplace. They understand what it's like to culturally fit into an Irish workplace.
Did you feel work ready, Rahul?
Yeah, pretty much, right? All of the things, I have to agree, right? And one of the biggest game changers for me while coming into this university was my course director, Denny Solon. She's played such a big influence of my career, is because she taught me how to learn. And that is a big difference between opening a book and actually applying what you're learning.
Right.
And I think that differentiator was really what set my career apart. So I think that is what I would add.
So what was unique though about entering the Irish market, specifically Galway's market? Like what was the tough part there, or something that you found interesting?
It's rather easy, no? No, I think like a couple of things, right? Like one is you need to know what the Irish job market really consists of. It's very different than a European job market, so to speak. It's very different to probably where our international students are coming from. Ireland is so much like divided even within the tech sector, right? Like we have the west coast of Ireland that is so focused on medtech. Then you have the east coast, which is like pretty much, let's say, your e-commerce platforms, things like this. So I think understanding where you really want to go, knowing the geography of Ireland, is an important step, because I think we still try to figure out what we want to do when you're doing the master's. So that's one difficult element, which at least I found hard to digest. And the second element is really around like understanding all the visa processes, right? Like when you're coming as an international student, it's like, oh yes, I want to do this, right? But you might not be able to do it because those visas won't support you, right? So I think it's super crucial to actually understand like what sponsorships you're looking for, what you expect the company to do, because a lot of times even the companies are playing this game with you, right? That they probably don't know. So I think a couple of aspects, if you can educate yourself while going into the job market, it just makes those conversations so much easier with your future employers.
Yeah. So if you had to go back and talk to young Rahul when he was looking to go international for schooling, what would have been the best piece of advice you could give, Rahul from the past?
Yeah, like the only advice I give myself is like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Really?
This is the only thing. Like it's been like I left India like in 2014, right? And I came to do the master's in 2020. I was working for these 5 or 6 years in different MNCs, and this is my only regret. Why didn't I do it sooner?
Wow. That's great though.
Yeah, I have to say, right? Like I'm back to do an MBA within the scope of like 5 years. So that's what it shows, right? What the meaning of education can really bring to you. Like, for example, right? Like I was like more or less in like individual contributor roles for the first 5 years of my career. I came here with the intention that I want to jump into management. Ireland predominantly is an English-speaking country. And I think the master's that I did really brought me that value, because I was able to jump straight into management because of the depth of courses that were available to me at that time. So that was my only regret. Why didn't I do it sooner?
Right.
I think you talk about your way back here. I would like to touch on that later after I ask Corey, right? Right. So what could be one advice that you would give to our future student on, how to prepare to enter the workforce, like adding to that Rahul just said before?
So Rahul touched on it there a little bit, and I think it's really important that students understand immigration. So understand what your work entitlements are when you are a student, and how you transition to your longer term visa and the timelines around that, okay? So don't expect it to happen instantaneously. And also to understand the timelines of when to apply for what types of roles. As Rahul mentioned, the Irish market is a little bit different. We have structured graduate programs, we have entry-level jobs, we have experienced higher jobs, and really you need to understand what are the timelines and when should I apply for each of those roles. For example, with graduate programs, you're applying a year in advance to get onto a graduate program, but graduate programs are highly competitive. So it's about being resilient as well. If you get rejected, that's not the end of the road, it's just for the graduate programs. And then understanding, if I'm an experienced hire, how long does the recruitment process take in general? So when should I be applying? If you're starting your course in September and you start applying for experienced hire roles, you're not ready to start until a year later. Yeah. And an employer is going to automatically reject you because you're not applying at the right time. So having a really good understanding of how, firstly, the recruitment process works, and secondly, understanding your immigration and the permissions around your work permits going forward as well. So if you want to stay on and work longer here in Ireland, understand what types of roles I'll need to apply to get maybe a critical skills work permit. The other thing I'd really stress to students is try not to take on too much straight away. I see students coming here and getting involved in everything on campus because there's so much on offer. but I would look at it really strategically, and I'd look at my CV and see where do I want to go in the future, and where can I build maybe gaps in some of the skills that I have. So if I want to move into management but I don't have any experience in leadership, what can I do at the university to develop my leadership skills? And we've great examples and things like Lift that the students can get involved in if they want to build their leadership skills. If they want to get into startups and they want to be into entrepreneurship, how can I get experience in this area? Again, you look to the university and we have the Ideas Lab here that students can get involved in to look at the startup ecosystem and build their skills and knowledge in this area. So I'd be really strategic about my extracurricular activities at university and get involved in areas where I can develop skills that are going to be important as I move into the workplace. And I was supposed to think of it as, a longer term project. I see students arriving in September and are straight away extremely anxious about getting a job, which is understandable, because that's probably the reason they've come to study here, and they're thinking to the future straight away. Take your time, enjoy the experience here at university, build your skills, but also build your professional network. And that means networking within your class, networking within the university, but also networking with employers outside of the university that come here to campus. I mean, last year alone, we had 250 employers come to visit the university, facilitated by the Career Development Centre. Students need to use all of these opportunities to meet local employers and start building their professional network while they're here as a student.
Well, absolutely. I think Wayfair was actually one of the people who did come, right?
They've come a number of times, and we've been very lucky with Wayfair over the years. They've offered a number of placement and internship opportunities. As historically they would have seen it as a really good way to identify early talent for their pipeline. I suppose it's really important to understand that as companies change and as the industry changes, you need to have a good understanding of the companies that are hiring actively at the moment, and maybe the companies that are kind of stagnant. So that's where your industry trends is really important, and getting that understanding at some of our workshops during our job search workshops is really important to get that understanding.
Right. We talk about resilience, timing, networking, and a lot of resources that we are offering here. And I can feel, from my personal experience, I can feel that all of these are weaved into the university here. And the university is very big on that one. And I really feel like you are putting all of that right at the time when we start the university. So I'm wondering, Rahul, do you benefit from any kind of resources that she has mentioned before?
Yeah, I think I was one of those that Wayfair picked up bright and early, right?
Yeah.
I was in this very lucky situation where I arrived in September. By October end, I already knew I'm going to be working for Wayfair for March, right?
Wow.
Right.
So this was thanks to the career cell, because the career cell is what really organized it. They came, Wayfair's looking for 15 people. Okay, put your CVs through. The CV checks were done by Breed at that time, who was part of the development cell. She was prepping us for interviews. We were getting links. So yes, I did utilize those broad spectrums as well. And also, I really liked what Grainne said, right? I was part of the students' union as well, right? Even during COVID, it was a very active students' union. I made a point to join, try to understand, how people behave in certain situations. So I would just second what Grainne said there.
Well, and so you were here during COVID, and then you came back, right? The Cairn School of Business?
Yes,
So
I am back.
why coming back? Why here?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. Maybe I would boil it down to three different aspects, right? One is I've been in Galway now for almost 6 years, and I wanted my network to be here. That was one easy thing to pick on. The second thing was also the NUIG, University of Galway now, provided me an alumni scholarship, which was a decent sum of money also as a decision maker. And the third thing is I knew 2 or 3 professors and I really trusted them, right, about the quality of education. And that has not failed me in the MBA as well, because those 3 professors that I was looking to study with are still here, and they have not disappointed me.
Yeah, well, in your history, I mean, you started in accounting, right? And then you decided to go for the MBA. What about the business made you decide that's where you want to go?
Yeah, seems like a decade ago. So I started my career in financial accounting and reporting. That's correct. And then I transitioned to business advisory, right? Because I was this is financial accounting was not really me. It was very much like, you have these set of rules, you follow these set of rules, and my mind does not work with rules very well at all. So I went into business advisory, was making like business reports, providing commentary so that the seniors could make the decision. At one point of time, I was like, okay, if I'm providing all this and somebody else is making the decision, it looks like I need to make decisions as well. And then I was like, the quickest way to do is to get into management. At that point of time, I was in Germany. I didn't really speak German. I had the basics of it, realized that till I don't really speak the local language, I'm not going to be able to make those decisions as quickly as I wanted. Fun fact, I literally put into Google friendliest places on earth. Ireland showed up, Canada showed up, New Zealand showed up. Luckily, I had a very strong support system with my friends in Europe, so I decided to stay in Europe. And that's what brought me to Ireland. In Ireland, I was again very lucky to get a management role straight off the cuff after the master's. Right place, right timing. And of course, a bit of hard work does not help as well, right? And then it was really about like, where's the next opportunity, right? Like I always like to think of careers as the role ahead rather than the role that you're doing. Jumped into some revenue operations because a part of the business was getting that investment. When that investment stopped into B2B, I was like, okay, what's my next move? Then I saw another department was growing in the organization in Galway. That was the FinOps department. Moved to FinOps straight away. Then I realized probably that's not me as well because it's so close to accounting. And then the rules came back and I was like, yeah, rules, again, not my thing. And then this role opened up in inventory. Inventory, as mentioned, right, it's at the heart of e-commerce. So I was like, okay, that could be a very interesting role. And then when you're learning a bit of tech on the side, right, like then how do I bring my business advisory, revenue ops, let's say FinOps, and then marry that with technology. So, right, like it's always about thinking one role ahead than the role what you're going into or doing currently.
Yeah, I think you'd really have a vision, right?
Right.
But I would doubt that there would be some transferable skill between these two sectors, right? Because the Career Center also emphasize on these transferable skills. How do you see that?
Yeah, like I think one of the biggest things that I have taken in my career over the last couple of years is like, focus on what your personal branding really is, right? Like everybody who's worked with me can tell you what I stand for in the office place, right? Like it's that high energetic approach, it's that complex problem solving. How do we really treat your stakeholders around you who might or might not influence your work? So that's around the personal branding element of it. And the second thing really boils down to it's like what makes you differentiated in the workplace when it comes to the technical side of things, right? Like how do you analyze your data, right? Like I'm not the best coder, but if somebody gives me a set of data, like I'm pretty sure I can get some really good insights into it. So it really depends like how you want to shape your career and what you really want to stand for in the office.
So you've mentioned innovation, Grainne, and Rahul, you were talking about these transferable skills and this kind of flexibility when it comes to using your own skills and talents. So Grainne, can you tell me about like what changes and trends you've seen over the years, like what employers are looking for and what that means for their employment?
Yeah, I suppose historically, employers would have looked at your 1-1 or your 2-1 student, and academics was always the key to, being a good hire. But that's completely changed. And what employers, yes, they will look for somebody who's got a strong academic background, but they want you to come with more. So things like digital skills, obviously mentioning AI, we can't, it's everywhere. And you really need to know how to use AI ethically. Yeah. And that's really important. But having those digital skills and lots of digital tools, being able to use software really well is really important. Also, I think, the differentiator of the soft skills. So being a good communicator, being a team player, being a good leader, and looking at yourself and saying, how from my previous experience, be it part-time work, be it extracurricular activities, be it projects that I've been involved in here at the university, how have I developed these skills that will set me apart in the workplace? We all know that technology is changing rapidly, so you'll need to be adaptable and you'll need to be agile and keep up with technology, and you'll need to be able to show that you can learn to use new technology. Gone are the days where you'll have studied something and that'll be it. You'll need to learn, I suppose, for the rest of your life. Right. So students who think that, once I get my degree or my master's, that's it, I'm done with learning. Unfortunately, those days are gone. It's continuous learning, and it's learning throughout your career and being open to learning. But I think, going back to those differentiators and what can set you apart in the interview is those soft skills. An employer is going to be, if you've come to university and you've studied, the employer is going to expect, number one, that you've got a good academic background, you've achieved your degree, box ticked. They're also going to expect that you have the digital skills. But what makes you different? And in some cases, it is those soft skills. It is being a good communicator. It is being a good team player. And it also is being motivated and passionate about what you do and being able to get that across in the interview.
They're looking for excellence.
They are absolutely looking for excellence, which ties in very nicely to our values here at the university.
It does. It does. Rahul, I'm going to leave you with a very hard question here. How have you seen excellence in your time here at university? How have you seen that excellence carry through to your career? What have you seen that has been that differentiator in your time here?
Yeah, like for me, the key differentiator has really been optimizing for people, right? Like I think in the University of Galway, what I found is like the professors are available for you, right? In most of the cases that you want them to be available. As I mentioned, like even about like the course director, like whenever I needed help, she was there for me, right? She was there to play that guiding hand. Same thing with the career cell, like whenever I needed them, they were there for me. And the same thing with the cohort, right? Like whoever I like study with on a regular basis, whether it be in the master, like me and Grainne did the masters together like 5 years ago, right?
Oh, right.
So, and the same thing with the MBA. Now I go into the classroom, I'm able to network, I'm able to be with an excellent set of people who can advise me, right? Like when I have those difficult decisions to make in the office, it's fantastic to have somebody on call to say like, hey, what would you do in this situation? Because I know that you probably faced this 2 years ago. So I would say those were the key differentiators for me.
Excellent.
Yep. So we are talking about opportunities like elsewhere. So let's like dive here at the Galway job market, right? So what do you think would make the Galway job market like unique compared to other cities locally and internationally?
Well, I suppose we are a hub for medical device. So we're very lucky. It's a unique ecosystem globally. So we have a huge amount of obviously medical device organisations here in Galway. But I think another aspect of Galway, which is really lovely, is we are very pro startups. So we have two organisations, Supporter Shed and Platform 9094, which are a really good ecosystem for startups. So if you're interested in starting your own company, interested in getting involved in a startup, we have that ecosystem here. What's really important, I think, is the networking opportunities. There's lots of events that happen throughout the year. If you even just go onto Eventbrite, you can see, for example, the Galway Chamber will be running events, iTag. The businesses are very active locally to give people the opportunity to network. Galway is a small city and people get to know each other very quickly, and you see people on the circuit consistently when you are getting out and getting involved. So what I would recommend is attend the events that are going on here, hosted by many of the organisations, and that's a really good starting point to getting understanding of the local Galway market.
Yeah. How about you, Rahul? Because you're a returnee here, so what would be your insights?
Yeah, like for me, I think the network is the strongest piece, right? And this is one of the reasons I came back as well. Like you can have the best CV on hand, but there is nothing that is going to replace somebody going and talking to the hiring manager to say, I trust this person. Because I think that's what gets you the role rather than a good CV.
Your network is your net worth.
I agree with that.
That's good. I like that. Well, thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Grainne. I appreciate your time today for sharing these stories, sharing these insights. It's conversations like these that tell us that excellence is wrapped up in things like innovation, in network, in going that extra mile, being lifelong learners. So, and I thank everyone who's listening. So stay tuned for more stories connecting Galway with the world.